Hi, everybody. I know I wasn't supposed to be here. I'll get into it in a minute. Welcome to Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. I'm working on very little sleep. And for that, I apologize. My memory may not be as sharp as what it usually is. I really didn't have much time to prepare the program. To tell you the truth, not very interested in NFL football or NBA basketball or any of this right at this moment. So let's start. Uh, I told everybody I'm flying back to Florida today. Well, I'm not, obviously. Uh, this is it's kind of an unfortunate thing, at least from my perspective and from Rox's perspective. For those who don't watch the program, Rox is my significant other and has been for 4 years now, and it'll be going on 5. Uh, she was experiencing shortness of breath, and on Tuesday evening, I took her to a regional hospital emergency room, and they discovered that she had a pulmonary embolism, and this is not good stuff. She was very short of breath, and there are people who die from this condition. It is not a fun kind of thing, and it's not the kind of thing that I'm not going to be sharing updates and things of that nature. She is home. She's resting comfortably. And this is the way life sneaks up on you sometimes. But it does kind of color my opinion a little bit about people who are really jumping all over Deshaun Watson and about the fact that he's not going to play for a second straight week. These fans who are calling themselves fans on social media, who are insisting that the Browns organization owes them something, that Deshaun Watson owes them something. You don't know how badly hurt a person is. And the way that I found out about Rocks was we were out singing karaoke, and she couldn't project. She couldn't get her voice out like she usually does. And we left early and got out into the parking lot, and the distance it took to get from the door to the parking lot, she was totally, winded. And at that point, it was right on to the emergency room. We were there till 2 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, and getting CAT scans and all of that kind of stuff, and working with our physician back in Florida as well. So it bothers me when people make judgments about other people's health, especially today. I tried not to hang out too much on social media because people are just not very understanding, and we live in a world of uncaring people. And I don't say that casually, I say it factually. As far as the Browns organization owing fans anything, now, they're a business, folks, and they're in business to put butts in the seats, and they'll do it any way they can in a game which is not safe. I've been through this over and over again. They don't care about the players who are sacrificing a piece of their lives and parts of their bodies. Why would they give a flying fuck about you? Would you grow up, please? If you don't want to cheer for the team, you're free not to do so. All right. And there's social media there for you to make all of the hateful statements that you want to make. But the bottom line is they owe you nothing. Nobody owes you anything. This is America now. This is not America then. And a lot of the people who are tweeting these things are idiots. They're younger people who have no life experience. I was there to see America when it really was America. You were not. This is all you've ever seen, is the idea that you can day trade and make millions and millions of dollars, or you can create an electric car and become Elon Musk and become a multi-billionaire. That's what you have been raised on, this sense of entitlement that somehow, you know, you're not going to accept a job at this wage because it's not good enough for you. And I'm just telling you straight the way that it is. There was a time in this country when people started at low level jobs and worked their way up. You're listening to one right now. It bothers me when people won't take the first step, because any journey to greatness, it starts with a first step. But people are like, oh, no, 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 I got to make this much per hour. I got to make this much per year. And meanwhile, there are businesses that can't employ people because they can't afford it, because they're not making enough money. And this is the way you look at the world. The way I look at the world is remembering how it used to be and then seeing what it's become. And if that's all you have to do, and I'm saying not just to people who might be, catching a piece of this video, but to the people who, write for a living, supposedly, people like Ben Axelrod. He's one I ran into today, and have been, unfortunately, running into him on social media. I think he's a jerk. I think that he's just trying to create a name for himself. I think he's lazy. He's a bum. I think that he does nothing for a living because he doesn't unearth anything. He just unearths the anger and the frustration of a group of fans who are disappointed that the Cleveland Browns season is heading in the wrong direction this year. So if he can put up anything on the internet that he can to get as many hits and as many replies, no matter whether they're angry, whether they're legitimate or whatever, he's good with it, because he doesn't give a shit about the Cleveland Browns. You're talking about the organization doesn't care enough about you. Well, the bottom line is the people who are writing this tripe online don't care about you. And if they can incense you and anger you and do whatever they want, put false notions in your head that Watson's really not hurt, that his shoulder is not banged up, you'll ingest that with all the other bile that society is throwing at you today. And I'm sorry for you. You're unhappy people. I actually ran into a person on social media today. It was unbelievable. He said, for $200 million, I'd be out there playing, and it's like, and isn't that the way it is? For $200 million, you would roll in pig shit for $200 million. You know what you do for $200 million? You fuck your mother. That's what you do. As long as you got the money, that's all that matters. And yet you are complaining about Deshaun Watson not playing, but you yourself said, oh, yeah. I'd play with that injury if they paid me that kind of money. Then go out and do it. Why don't you become Super Dave Osborne and try to jump over 30 buses on a motorcycle? And we'll see if we can get a GoFundMe for you when you crash and you're crippled for the rest of your life. Goodness. So life is a little bit more cherished around this household today because you don't know what's around the corner. And if I sound like I'm a little bit stern today, well, like I said, I'm short on sleep, and I love rocks, and I don't want anything bad to happen to her, and going to do everything within our power to make sure that we dissolve that embolism. Now, for those who don't know what a pulmonary embolism is, it's a blood clot in her lung. It is just not cool. All right. It's a genetic condition. It's hereditary. 90% in this case, other members of her family have suffered the same stuff. And they're still all alive. But, it's going to be blood thinners for rocks for the rest of her life, because we got to do what we can to keep her going and to make sure that this clotting problem, which is a clotting factor that runs in her family, doesn't hurt her. any more than it already has. So it bothers me when fans are screaming for players who are clearly injured to go out and play. You're idiots. Here's another thing that I can tell you. We were 2 days away from getting on an airplane, and that's the way you die with an embolism in your lung. You can't take the pressure change. That's the one thing they tell you can't do is fly. We're lucky, and I wish you would look at your lives like you're lucky. You're lucky to be a Browns fan. You're lucky to be able to sit back and watch the game on TV and be able to talk about it on social media. You're lucky. There are people in hospitals who are dying. There are people who are sick. There are people who are older and don't have anybody to take care of them. I just don't know what you're thinking, but be grateful that you have what you have. And I'm not going to sit here and whine about the Cleveland Browns season because it's just so minimal compared to what's happening in our life right now. And thanks for the nice comments in the chat room. I appreciate it. And Rubber City, and this is the truth. I mean, there's nothing cataclysmic about a football season because there's going to be another football season and another football season, and you'll be there watching it. I really hope to God you're there to see whatever horrible stuff happens to the Cleveland Browns. I hope we all are, because every year there's fewer and fewer of us as we get older. Enjoy what you have now and be positive. Understand that life is for the taking. It's just not for the just being handed something. Please take this criticism personally and seriously. To get ahead in the world, you got to start. And I'm sorry to hear about that, Rubber City, because there's no justice for a 15-year-old, for anyone, but a 15-year-old, that's just more than I can really contemplate at this point. And when you love somebody very much and they bring a lot of joy to your life, you hate to see, she's younger than I am. I make no bones about that. She's 13 years younger than I am. And to see her gassed and out of breath, it breaks my heart. So I believe Deshaun Watson's shoulder is messed up. You can argue about how the organization handled it, but they don't owe you anything. They don't owe you an explanation. Do you understand that? I don't agree with the way they've handled a whole bunch of things, but I'm not an agent of change for the Cleveland Browns organization. I'm not. I can't make the whatever the path is they're taking. I can't change it. I have opinions, but my opinions don't mean jack shit. I just have fun doing an internet show, a podcast. That's as far as it goes. When I'm done with this program, I'm back to caring about Rox and about her health and about, I lost my father earlier this year. Nothing is forever. Don't treat life like it's forever. It's not. Get what you're going for now. Start now. Goodness gracious. Waiting for somebody to hand you a Super Bowl. And what does it get you? Because you'll be bitching the next year. The Cavaliers got you to the playoffs, but you're bitching already because they lost in the first round. And before that, you were bitching because they were so bad. Goodness. So if you haven't heard, Deshaun Watson is out against the 49ers, and obviously PJ Walker is going to be starting. Joel Bitonio, here's another one. Joel Bitonio, they said he was having a problem with his knee. He had more than a problem with his knee. They scoped his knee. And let me explain, because I was asked by somebody, what's a knee scope? And they call it a scope. It's short for arthroscopy. It is a minimally invasive knee surgery. And a guy like Bitonio, with the wear and tear he has in that knee, they're giving him what's called a cleanup. And that is basically what he's going through. That scope is a cleanup. That means that he doesn't have a full tear in the meniscus of his knee. What it means is they go in and they just kind of smooth out the loose ends. The assumption is that he has, as all football players will, a loss of cartilage. Why do you think Jim Brown was walking with a cane at the end of his life? Uh, because he had no cartilage left in his knee. And I speak from personal experience. I got a knee replacement because I not only did I have no ACL, my knee was bone on bone. It had absolutely no cartilage to protect it. And that cartilage wears down and it frays. Here's some things that can happen. A piece can peel off and get caught in a joint in the back of your leg, right in the hinge of the back of your leg. And you can have what's called a button hook tear in your meniscus where you can't straighten your knee out. He doesn't have a full tear of the meniscus. What he does have, though, is a lot of loose ends. And what they've done is they've gone in and smoothed those rough ends up. Now, they're saying, oh, well, he could have played this week. No, he couldn't have played this week. And the bottom line is, after an arthroscopy, I've had a full meniscectomy where they had to cut out a chunk. And that unfortunately speeds up the demise of the knee. They don't really, unless you're very, very young, where they can sew it together because you can still have a chance to grow cartilage. You can't grow cartilage when you're an adult. And a football player is he's gonna be limping and walking with a cane probably later in his life. This is inadvisable for him, because his knee would have to be still swollen from them going in and doing what they do. There was no way that he was going to be playing this week, and I don't know why. Again, the organization didn't just come right out and say that he had gotten a scope. I don't know what the secret is, what the reason for that is. They don't owe us anything, and I don't owe them anything either. And that is allegiance or loyalty or pimping them on a podcast. I have opinions. I just give what the opinions are, and that's it. Cedric Tillman is also out with a hip. And I don't know what happened to Cedric Tillman, but whatever it is, he's been having problems with his hip. So he's out. Now the question turns to David Njoku, who played last week and did not practice Wednesday and Thursday, but practiced today. He's trying to get out there on the field. He can show you his facial burns just in case some of you idiots out there think that was a conspiracy theory, that he didn't really burn himself. So it's just let's see what Rubber City is saying right here. Well, we'll do some. You're taking the time to say stuff in the chat room. I'll let you be seen and heard. The front office so dysfunctional that for almost 3 weeks, this general manager and the coach said he will be playing each week. Is it that dysfunctional? The answer is, and it starts at the top. There are some transparent companies that behave in a transparent way. There are other companies that are shady. Jimmy Haslam is shady. We already know that from his other business. So he runs his business in a shady way. He's not going to tell you anything. And not only does he not think that you deserve any information, he disdains you. He probably laughs when you buy tickets. That is honestly how I feel about him. He's a racist, and he's a person who is dishonest, who stiffed hardworking truck companies out of rebate money. He is a thief. I can't say anything good about the man. He's done nothing to resurrect good football in Cleveland whatsoever. And he's sitting on a stadium that has amongst the worst, if not the worst, foundation underneath it. That stadium has been absolutely the opposite of a blessing. Cleveland Browns Stadium when it was first built, cold and sterile, but it wasn't even built very well. And that was before his run, but he didn't want to put no more money into the damn thing. And so this is what we get, a home field with no home field advantage. So do I think they're that dysfunctional? I think they're that dishonest, okay? And they're not going to tell you the truth, and you're never going to get it from them. And if anybody told the truth, like Kevin Stefanski, he'd be instantly fired, because the guy has no trouble firing people either. It's he who's the wizard behind the curtain, and he's the one who's pulling all the strings. And this is, no matter who the personnel are, it's Jimmy Haslam's stamp on this organization that has been so horrendous and will continue to be, because he's a lousy businessman. You know, I don't take anything. To be honest, this show is for fun. We get on each other, and that's okay. And I never hold grudges, because people who take their time to actually come here and to participate in the program, uh, you know, I appreciate that. And we don't have to agree on everything. That's for darn sure. And Joe, I know we don't agree on a whole hell of a lot when it comes to uh, NFL football, but yeah, life is different than that. We pretend to be certain things. I pretend to be the cow guy on the podcast. We talk about sports, but I'm a little bit different in person. And when something personal happens to any of my viewers, I think that you will find that they'd say the same thing, that I'm not one who just overlooks people's misfortunes. Um, Thank you very much. I think she's going to be okay. We just have to get through this first period of trying to get this thing dissolved. Once the embolism is dissolved, everything will just fall into place. But it takes time, and it hurts so bad to have to watch somebody struggle like that. It's breathing. It comes naturally, you just breathe and you take it for granted. Then you realize there are people out there with mesothelioma and all kinds of things, and they can't breathe. They have to have portable oxygen machines, so that's that. Terry Pluto's headline: Am I really dumb enough to believe Browns have a chance versus 49ers? Why is that a rhetorical question? Yes. Yes, you're dumb enough to believe anything. You're dumb enough to believe that a guy who died for your sins on a cross forgave you for masturbating. I mean, you're dumb enough. Yep. And who cares how stupid he is? Who gives a damn? I read something again. I couldn't believe some of these people who were on, what is his name? Hayden Grove. Is that his name? He's in there saying, that the organization is, saying things that aren't true. And it's like, well, why don't you hold yourself to the same fucking standard? It's like reporters misleading people. I mean, every one of them got it wrong. It didn't stop them from printing, oh, Deshaun Watson's going to play. Yeah, I mean, because they're sucking ass, okay? Because their life depends on playing up to a thief like Jimmy Haslam. I got no interest here, I got no fucking viewers here. I got 30 people watching me right now. What the fuck do I care about Jimmy Haslam? But they do, because he can close the doors to them permanently. So what they do is they try to incense the viewers or the readers that they have by printing things that are half truths, so they can always go back on their own word. If you believe that the organization is wrong for disseminating bad information, you have to feel the same way about those people who are writing those things on social media. They're just trying to pull your chain, you know? damn, it isn't that difficult. As far as Terry Pluto is concerned, you know, the Browns don't have a chance in that game. They just don't have enough on the field. And honestly, it's it's no one's fault that a guy takes a hit at a certain angle and he ends up with a shoulder injury. You know, you'd be bitching if you played him and then he got hurt worse, like Baker Mayfield, then you'd be bitching about him, just like you did Baker Mayfield. And, I felt bad because to me, Baker Mayfield, it, I'm not a fan of Baker Mayfield's because he is arrogant and has no reason to be arrogant. He thinks too highly of himself when he hasn't really achieved very much. I don't care for his character, but he played hurt and it didn't pay off for him because the organization didn't owe him anything. If they didn't owe their number one draft pick anything, why would you think they owe you something? You can't be that stupid like Terry Pluto. Or can you? As for PJ Walker is an interception waiting to happen, all right? I mean, in his career, 5 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. That's statistically for all of the games that he's played collectively in the NFL. He might have the ability to throw a deep ball better than DTR and have a little more experience, but he doesn't have Batonio in front of him. He doesn't have a running back in the backfield who can do anything. I mean, Michael Dunn, for God's sakes, that kind of characterizes our chances, except it's Dunn spelled a different way. I have nothing bad to say about PJ Walker or DTR. DTR is a rookie and, he was thrown into the fire. And PJ Walker has been cut from a number of teams. And again, this falls on the people in the organization. I mean, you don't go into a football season and the last thing you do when you break camp is get rid of your backup and who has at least some experience. It's a very stupid thing to do. And it's not that I think Joshua Dobbs would win this game either. Don't get me wrong. But, it's not going to be, it wouldn't be like total amateur hour like we watched last, 2 weeks ago. It isn't like that. This is the real game. And people with no experience playing it are not going to be very good at it. And we're not just playing a real game. We're playing a real game against the best team in football right now. And it's not going to be pretty. And PJ Walker is going to be running for his life and he might get hurt by the end of the game. Who in the hell knows? And again, thank you, Daktar. I think people who have watched the program long enough, I let actions speak louder than words, because what comes out of my mouth is, I used to call this taking the cow suit off. Hey, R. Jones, how you doing? That's a character. It's a caricature. I am opinionated. Make no mistake about that. But a cow will say things that I use that just to have the right to say some things that maybe I wouldn't normally do. But I think records speak for themselves. And David Tlefsky's in the chat room as well. Wills is the 49ers DC. He had Walker as his quarterback in Carolina last year, so he knows the tendencies. You're not going to get a quarterback at the last second off the waiver wire who is going to step in and be magnificent. And the organization will pay, the players will pay, the fans will pay. It's a badly run business. The Cleveland Browns are just a badly run business. And you're not going to be able to run Jimmy Haslam out of town. It doesn't work that way either. You just kind of have to put up with it. if you want to watch the games. So there's that. And, I know that everybody says, hey, I think PJ is going to do fine out there. The guys in the locker room are, they're going to do the best they can and try to keep their chin up. But once this reality hits, you're going to see the same deflation that you saw in the last game. And it could be worse. So, there's when management gives you no chance to win, what are you going to do? And as a fan, I'm not going to sit there and whine about it. That's for sure. Every person who is picking the games, and they didn't even know at the time that they picked the games that Watson wasn't going to play. They all picked a double-digit win for the 49ers anyway. So there's that. My Jimmy Haslam impressions are gone since we won the Titans game. Yeah. I don't know that I have it in me to do the Jimmy Haslam. He's a Southern Yosemite Sam. He's a piece of shit is what he is. And I can't believe that this fraternity of owners would allow this thief. And, it only makes you wonder what the rest of them are like. And I guess what the rest of them are like is they don't care about the players. They never have, and they never will. So you got guys like Pete Prisco, who's saying that, yeah. And isn't this great? This is one of those be careful games in the NFL. The 49ers are the best team, but they put a lot in the Dallas game last week, and the Browns are coming off a bye. If Cleveland has quarterback Deshaun Watson back to face the vaunted 49ers defense, it will hang around in this one. If not, PJ Walker will have a tough go. I say Watson plays, and the Browns make it close. 49ers 26, Browns 23. Well, let me tell you, the final score is not going to matter. A drubbing is a drubbing is a drubbing. Ask Bill Belichick. You don't get extra kudos for playing a game close and losing, because we did that in Pittsburgh. We got no kudos for that. So other people picking the game, you got NFL.com. Here are the scores that every one of their people have predicted for this game. 49ers 30-13, 49ers 29-18, 49ers 24-12, 49ers 26-13, 49ers 27-14. What I'm going to tell you is the 49ers are going to score more than 30 points against the Cleveland Browns. The defense is going to be exasperated because PJ Walker is going to turn the ball over, which is another thing which really bothers the bejeebers out of me. This whole thing about Kevin Stefanski droning on, and then Andrew Berry doing the same thing about protecting the ball, and how the Browns are -7 in the turnover battle, and they've turned the ball over 10 times this year. And ball security is I thought that was just for men's underwear, but ball security is the new thing with these folks. And it's like Sam Ratigliano told me, and I respect Sam Ratigliano. I have respected him for a long time because he's a straight shooter. And I've told the story before, but we turn over viewers a lot. We had Sam on the show a number of times, and he tells the story about Mike Pruitt coming out of Purdue. This is going back before your time, folks. And he was our fullback, a damn good running back. But his rookie year, he did nothing but fumble the ball, and he played for Forrest Gregg. It was the year before Sam Ratigliano became the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. And basically what Forrest Gregg, the now deceased Forrest Gregg, who was the Browns head coach, did to Mike Pruitt was that he made him carry the ball around everywhere he went in public to shame him, and had people try to strip the ball from him from oblique angles when he wasn't looking, when he wasn't prepared. And this is the way, the tough love, so to speak, that Forrest Gregg, you know, he thought that would make Mike Pruitt have more ball security. When Sam Rutigliano came in, the first thing he did is he sat down and showed Mike Pruitt all of his college video from when he played at Purdue. And he said, "So what do you think of these, this film?" He goes, and Mike Pruitt's like, "Yeah, I thought I was pretty good at Purdue." He goes, "Yeah, but you didn't fumble the ball." He goes, "No, He goes, "You're same guy. Why are you fumbling it now?" Mike Pruitt said, "Well," and he didn't have an answer. And Sam Bertigliano said, "It's because somebody's always trying to bat the ball out of your hand, and they've stuffed that in your head. You don't have a fumbling problem. You didn't in high school. You didn't have it. It just started happening in the pros." And you know that Mike Pruitt after that didn't have a problem fumbling the ball. It's really amazing how you can a little positivity, and just looking at something and saying, if you're looking at life that you have a problem, then you do have a problem, whether you do or you don't, because you're starting way behind the starting line and you're behind the field to begin with. And this is what I see happening with Kevin Stefanski, this and Andrew Berry, this droning on about we're not getting turnovers, and we're committing fumbles and interceptions, and they use the numbers. And numbers don't inspire people. All that analytic shit doesn't inspire a football player. I don't know what more they want from the Browns defense. Browns defense has really played well this year. But, if your team keeps turning the ball over, right? It's a short field. Well, we can't do it. And we're doing things in practice to make, and so you bring this to the attention of the players every 10 minutes, and it fucks their head up. That's going to be the problem with the Cleveland Browns against the 49ers, because, the only way the Cleveland Browns can even stay on the field respectably is if they were to run the football and try to keep the score down. But, Brock Purdy is not a guy who's prone to committing turnovers, and they have a great running game, and the defense isn't going to have the opportunity to rest on the sideline, because we're just not going to be able to move the chains very much against their defense. And believe me, their defense is as good as their offense is, maybe better. They're a really fine football team, unlike the Ravens, who are not a really fine football team, but they keep giving that team credit where they don't really deserve credit. So, R. Jones, we need a Jimmy Haslam impression. And, Keith is saying something in the chat room that, I harped about Belichick. There, right place, right time. But he, again, is not a motivator of men. He's a bully. But he was able to establish his bully pulpit by having Tom Brady. And so he was able to get rid of veterans just to show younger players that he didn't give a shit about any of them. And I don't like Bill Belichick personally. He's not an honest guy. We know that. He's a cheat. And along with the owner of his fucking team, they're not honest people. So I think that when it comes down, it comes down. And when Brady's gone, you see what's happened to him. And that's well deserved because he doesn't know how to motivate people in any other way except use that bully pulpit against them. Same thing is true with the Nick Saban and all these people in college football. They're going to whomp and whoop on their players because, you know, they're owned property, basically. And that's the way they look at it. Uh, it's too early for me to really look at that, but I think Stefanski will be a scapegoat of sorts because, you know, it's never going to be, Joe, Jimmy Haslam, right? It's never going to be Jimmy Haslam. And I see that I'm going to freeze up here. Something's happened to my video. Isn't that the way it works? Are you getting freezing on that end? I think this is too bad. But I've said everything I wanted to say, basically. I'll let this try to come back. But I can see that my signal is dashed. And again, this is, from what I can gather, this is our not so good friends at Spectrum. You know, I'll try to stay with you as long as I can, but this thing is deteriorating. No, I don't think Baker would do well in this situation. I'm sorry. I think Baker is a legend in his own mind. And I think that he's already talking big shit about what he's doing in Tampa. And he's really not doing all that much. It's like, oh, they understand me here and they're letting me do my thing. And it's like, oh, go away. Some people never learn. I don't think that Jim Schwartz, I would not give him the head coaching job, nor would I fire Stefanski in the middle of the season. I think that you need a head coach who has an idea offensively of how to use the weapons that we have. I mean, they've done a nice job of putting some people on the field if they could stay healthy. And I honestly believe that with a head coach who has offensive coordinator underneath him, but has the overall strategy in his background that he's been a very good offensive coach would be the way to go, and keep Jim Schwartz on the defense where he belongs. And he's really great at that. I'm glad it's not that it didn't freeze. We went through a storm, so to speak, on the internet and when this happens, it usually ends up freezing. So don't be surprised if that happens. What are my thoughts about Urban Meyer? I think Greek tragedy called it hubris. Although the Greek tragedy writers, Archimedes and all of the all of the literary Greek tragedy writers, didn't picture their Greek heroes in a bar bumping and grinding with a woman in the bar. But yeah, I'd say that entitlement goes in so many different ways. And, you can break the rules when you're the coach, but when you're the player, you eat shit. And, I don't like coaches who perform that way. What we need in Cleveland is somebody who can give the same kind of swagger to the offense and some breathing room for the offense that Jim Schwartz has done with the defense. A firm hand, but also a positive feedback kind of situation. Well, that, and I'll put your comment up. Oh, God. I have no answer for you. I could, but I won't. Urban Meyer. This guy, don't take the bait, Michael. Don't take the bait. Nobody wants Urban Meyer in Ohio. No. Oh my. So and then finally the Bleacher Report. They're saying the 49ers 24-17, but it's not going to be that close. And is this basically all we can say for ourselves? That we're not this or we're not that? I would like to be the Cleveland Browns and a proud football team that is owned by somebody who is honest. That's what I would hope for. But it, it's so early in the season yet. The vibes could get substantially worse as the season progresses. So, there's that. And Ken, yeah, I think that's the reason PJ Walker's got to take a beating in this game, because if Deshaun Watson is not ready to play in Indianapolis, I think the Browns are looking at this as a loss. It's 2-3. That's all there is. That's how it's going to go. And you could be 3-3 against the Colts. You just take it as 1 week and you just kind of walk away from it. Uh, uh, I've heard Sam on here. He called you Mark, and I didn't ask him to moo. I regret that. I don't know what's going on with Sam, and I don't interfere with people's privacy. You know what I mean? If there was a real reason that I really wanted Sam on the program, he would be here. He's that kind of a man. And what he said to me, and I've never met him in person, is that just from the conversations we had on the phone, we had a number of conversations that went outside of this program. And he said, I feel like I've known you for a long time. And I said, yeah, I feel the same way about you, because we kind of saw the world in the same way. And the funny thing is, having been a coach at Liberty College, and, he is really a born again Christian, and I was born a Jew. And, we may not have the same faith beliefs, but he's a man of integrity. And you could bet that when he said something, he meant it, and he wasn't playing up to anybody. Do we have any chance to stop Christian McCaffrey? Well, if you sell out and stop the run, then you're going to have to deal with Brock Purdy in the forward pass. I don't know the answer to a puzzle. I mean, this is worse than 16 Rubik's cubes. I don't have an answer. Yeah, and then when we lose 42-3, you'll just be laughing, Joe. I know how that works. Are any NFL owners honest? No, they're not in an honest business. They're making money the same way that the slave owners did. I hate to say it. And that, the football players are making a lot of money, some of them, but they exchange lifespan and grotesque injuries and brain trauma. And again, it's an unequal playing field. The owners risk nothing. They make money. They have such a marketing agreement. There's so few of them as owners. They have such a marketing network that they're going to make money whether they win or they lose. It's a pretty warped situation. And I'd say, no, they're not honest people. PJ Walker is a beast in the XFL. Sounds like he hurt me. Was that the guy's name? I just I don't understand your question. CMC, spell it out for me, because like I said, I'm sleep deprived. Oh my. See, and now this is what Mary Kay is now saying, that Watson could now need season-ending surgery. Well, and it wouldn't surprise me. Again, we were told there was no tear, but the only way that there's surgery involved is if there's an attachment issue, and then you'd all be sitting there saying, well, I guess I was wrong about Watson. He really was hurt. You just got to believe that a guy who plays football for as long as Deshaun Watson has, that injury, he's played hurt lots of times. And I take it that this just came out because I've been talking to you all. Uh, but she also said that he would be playing. She's been all over, and and everybody, he's not healing at the speed that they thought, and they're probably just going to have to go in and do something. And that's exactly what happened with Joel Bitonio. It's like, your knee's wearing out, man, and we can buy you a little more time if we clean that knee out, and you'll miss a game or two or three. In the case of Deshaun Watson, he would miss the season. You wouldn't be able to work anything in the rotator cuff area until the following year. Not real good. So again, I don't really I don't believe what the reporters say. I don't believe what politicians say. But when the injury was first listed, I tried to explain that if it was true that it was a not just a bruise but a contusion of the rotator cuff, that is a 6 to 8 week ordeal. So now if they're saying that it's something else, what are you going to say? You think that Deshaun Watson wants to lie to the public? Do you think that maybe Deshaun Watson knows that he needs surgery, but he's not allowed to say anything, so he's not talking to the press at all because the press will make him look bad? He already knows that. It's really an unfortunate thing, the whole thing. So I can't make a comment on what Mary Kay Cabbagehead is suggesting. So yeah, and exactly, David. I mean, anything they don't like isn't a part of their world. That's kind of the way it works. And I wish it wasn't that way, but they're powerful men because they're one of a group of 31, 32, whatever the number is, of who own National Football League franchises. And they're like the owners of Major League Baseball teams. They don't even have, American law was changed for them in the 1920s, right? So, yeah, they're not going to allow anybody who might, come out and say, "Don't you realize that Jimmy Haslam's a thief?" I would not. I would not get a call from any Browns organization person to talk to me on this program because they know that I'm going to ask questions, and they don't probably want to go through that. And let's see what else. No, the O line isn't going to hold up because the best guy, Joel Bitonio, is not playing, and we're going to have Michael Dunn, Jedrick Wills, and Dewan Jones. I mean, it is what it is. Ay, 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 ay. And where is that link, by the way, that Mary Kay Cabbagehead put that in the chat room for those who have seen this, um, so people can look at that because I don't know what you know. And this is the other thing, what gamble? What did you gamble, dude? All these fans think they're part of the game. It's like it's nothing to do with you. You gambled nothing. You gambled away the money to pay so that you could watch the game streamed. Come on. The gamble is a failure. Nobody's gambling anything. Jimmy Haslam's making money up the butt. And the only thing that's happening is players are getting crippled. What gamble? It's a surefire hit every time. It's like casinos, man. Do you really think that you're gambling? I mean, your odds of winning are so minute. Do you really think you can control any of that? Please make that stop. Let's see here. I don't know where Bronk is. Not here today, but he has good reason. Uh, and let me see. I'm looking at what David is writing here. Uh, Channel 19, the TV station, they don't have Golick. Yeah, eh, they control whoever you know the talking heads are, and it's always their perspective, and people spit out whatever they want. Uh, so if there is any link to what MKC said about this, I'm still waiting to see it. So if it doesn't show up, then I don't want to give out misinformation. The fact of the matter is, if the last we heard is that Watson threw some and he's not ready, and that this bruise is deep and it's slow healing, and they just don't have a time guess on when he might be back. So that's that. Boy, my phone is going off. Let's see if somebody is trying to communicate with me on here. No, 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 no. Let me see here. No, no. But I would be more than willing to put it up there if there was any truth to it. My prediction for the game, I don't think you really want to know. I think it could really get ugly here. But you know something? I'm going to watch the game. I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to be on social media. I will be here for the halftime show and for the post-game show, and my demeanor will be much as it is right now. Right now, I'm grateful that the love of my life is okay, and that I just wouldn't want to be in a world where she wasn't there with me. So this is personal stuff to me, and it's important. And the game is not. It's a transitory thing. It comes, it goes from season to season, year to year. I'll be talking more about the Cleveland Cavaliers in future programs because I'm going to be here for a while. So we'll have a halftime show on Sunday. We'll have a post-game show on Sunday. And then Monday, we'll be back with a Monday show. And because I've got enough to say about the Cavaliers as well. And for David, thank you for checking that out. From what I've seen, she just says he could miss multiple more games with a deep strain like contusion. Yeah, and that's what I've heard too. But from the beginning, this was to be a 6 to 8 week ordeal because that he got hit square on that shoulder. And the same way a linebacker would get hit, but a linebacker could come back maybe. The question about a linebacker is, could he wrap a guy up? But a quarterback has to throw the ball with velocity, and he can't right now. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate you taking the time to join me. And both Rox and I are thrilled to still be in Ohio, and we're grateful that we're on the ground instead of gone in the air and risked something more precious than anything that we talk about here. We'll be staying here for over a month, I'm sure, if she heals quickly. And let's just keep our fingers crossed. And I appreciate everybody who supports the program. We'll be back again at halftime on Sunday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.